What's going on, everybody? This is Cody, the home theater hobbyist, and today I want to answer the question that I get somewhat often in the comments section. Am I better off going with 2 smaller subs or 1 larger sub? And really in this video I want to talk about the benefits of having multiple subwoofers, but I think that's a good question, and so I want to answer that. Okay, so as I said, one of the questions I get is 2 smaller subs versus 1 big sub. And just to let you in, these subs are used for illustration only because, quite frankly, these subs all have 12-inch drivers. This one's ported, these aren't, but they're identical, so I thought I'd use them for this video. Just wanted to put that out there because I know some people say, oh, they're the same. Yeah, these are basically not the same subwoofer, but they do have the same driver size. Now, multiple subwoofers. Are you better off going with 2 smaller subs or 1 larger sub? Typically, in most cases, you're better off going with 2 smaller subs or multiple subs in your room versus just 1 large sub. And a lot of that has to do with just how subwoofers and sound waves work. So first things first, when you have 1 subwoofer in your room, you can sit in your main listening position and the bass sounds perfect. But if you move over 1 or 2 seats and you listen to the bass for the same song or for the same scene, you'll notice that the bass is either boomier or you just don't get that same impact. And that's based on how sound waves and bass waves travel throughout the room and interact with your room. You're gonna have peaks, you're gonna have nulls. And depending on where that seat is and how close it is to the wall or to the center of the room or whatever, you're experiencing a peak or a null, and that's why it doesn't sound as good. Well, if you have multiple subwoofers, let's say 2 or more, relatively properly placed in your room, you'll find that you won't have as many peaks and nulls in your seating positions. You have better balanced bass all throughout the different seats, and so you're all of a sudden getting more theater-like quality sound because you've got balanced bass. Now, I know some of you are saying, well, if I get the 1 big subwoofer, it'll drop down to 16 hertz, whereas those 2 smaller subwoofers will only do 20 hertz. And that might be true, but honestly, you're going to have a more enjoyable experience listening to the 2, let's say 20 hertz sub versus the 1 big 16 hertz sub. I mean, yeah, you're probably gonna have a better experience. I'm just gonna leave it there. Another benefit of multiple subwoofers is greater headroom. Now, some of you out there are bass heads and you like to play your subwoofers loud, reference level, max volume, that sort of thing. And if you don't have enough headroom, you can notice that at those levels, there's some distortion in the sound that's not there when you play it at a little bit lower volumes. That's what headroom is. Headroom is the subwoofer's ability to play at loud volumes and still play clean, clear, tight bass that you want. Well, when you have a second subwoofer or 3rd subwoofer, 4th subwoofer in your room, all of a sudden you've got all that output, and so at your main listening position, you're still getting, let's say 100 dB of bass or something like that, and it's not distorted. So multiple subwoofers, greater headroom. Another benefit of having multiple subwoofers in your room is you're less likely to have bass localization. And what that means is with a single subwoofer, you're sitting in your main listening position and all of a sudden there's a rumble, and you can tell, which corner of your room the rumble comes from because that subwoofer is sitting there. But once you have multiples, they're distributed, properly placed within your room, all of a sudden you don't have that localization. All you have is just nice clean bass throughout the soundstage. Now, the final and probably most important reason to have multiple subwoofers in your room is purely cosmetic. It looks cool, quite frankly. Let's just be real, right? Your friends come over and you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 subwoofers in the room and they're just like, what is going on in here? And you're like, yeah, that's how I'm doing it. And so, yeah, it just looks cool. That's all. And that's good enough sometimes. It just looks cool. So those are the reasons why you should consider going with 2 smaller subwoofers versus 1 large subwoofer. Obviously, there are some drawbacks, and I don't want to just totally ignore those, and I'll address them here. The first drawback is simply you got to buy 2, so it's going to cost you more money. Well, some subwoofer manufacturers do offer small discounts on multiple subwoofers, so definitely check your subwoofer manufacturer's website to see if they offer that type of program or assistance. Another drawback is space, right? Space constraint. Now, I think that's one of the main reasons why some people are asked the question, 1 large or 2 smaller, because they can fit 2 smaller subwoofers in the room a lot easier than 1 big subwoofer. So from a space standpoint, that's something you got to work out. But even if you have to go down again, like I said, a size class, you'll still get better balanced bass. And the final concern that some people have is if I have two subwoofers, it's just going to be too much bass. And that could be true. And if you are very, very sensitive to, bass, don't forget you can always turn the volume down. You don't have to run it at reference level. You can run them at 20% volume and get a nice balanced bass across your seating positions. And that's really what you want. You want balanced, frequencies all throughout your room, whether it be your mains, your center, your sides, whatever it is. You want balanced sound, and that's what dual or multiple subwoofers will give you. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give us a like if you did. Also subscribe and drop us a comment in the comment section below, especially if you have multiple subwoofers and there's a reason that I missed or just something that you enjoy about having subwoofers. Drop it in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you next time.